Harlan Rust.
All right. Not a real cowboy. Not a real cigarette. But it is a real gun. Made by Pieta. The same as what Alec Baldwin used on the set of Rust. This is not exactly the same model, but it is the same firing mechanism. And that's what I want to talk about now. Of course. Unloaded. Yes, I checked. Now I want to demonstrate a couple things about the Pieta. This is true for all single action revolvers. What that means, single action, SAR, single action revolver, means it only works one way. Pulling the trigger here does nothing, as you can see. Pulling the trigger does nothing unless the hammer is cocked. Now, another thing about these guns, if your finger is on the trigger and you pull the hammer back and let the hammer go, it will fire. Again, just holding the gun in this position with my finger exerting pressure on the trigger. I'm not really pulling the trigger, I'm not consciously pulling the trigger, but just holding the gun like this. When it's held like this with enough pressure on the trigger, when the hammer is cocked back, whether I cock it back into that quarter position, let it go, it will close and fire. Cock it back halfway, let it go, it will close and fire. Cock it back all the way, and it fires. However I do this, it will release the hammer, and if there was a charge in there, it would fire it. Now, keep that in mind as we talk about what happened on the set of Rust.
Harlan Rust.
Cock the gun. And I said, do you want to see that? And she said, yes. So I take the gun and I start to cock the gun. I'm not going to pull the trigger. I said, do you see that? She goes, well, just cheat it down and tilt it down a little bit like that. And I cock the gun and I go, can you see that? Can you see that? Can you see that? And she says, and then I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off. I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off.
So he's sitting there in that pew. He's got a big heavy coat on. Got his gun on his left side, which requires him, being right-handed, to what they call a cross draw, reach across his body in order to pull it out. Not the easiest thing to do when you're sitting down, by the way. I bet in a church pew it might be even harder than on this chair I've got. But let's think about that action then. Now, Alec Baldwin was in character. He wasn't Alec Baldwin. He was Harlan Rust. So he's got all this in his mind as he's getting ready, even though there's no dialogue. Of course, as an actor, as a professional actor, he's in the head of his character. And this character, you recall, Joel Souza, the director, told him to pull the gun out and point it. And Alec Baldwin said, you want me to whip it out? And yes, that was the direction. Whip it out.
Right here for you.
So whip it out. Yeah. Okay, well, let me get this all greased and ready. Okay, ready?
So as we saw on the takes before lunch, that's what Baldwin was doing. He was whipping the gun out in a fast, jerking motion. So what he does when it's ready is he whips it out. However, when you whip it out, you put all that effort into whipping that gun out, and you're still gripping that gun, and now you use your thumb to pull that hammer back, bam, because you're gripping the trigger. That's what I believe happened. Alec Baldwin says he didn't pull the trigger. I don't think he did. Not consciously. He didn't choose to pull the trigger. But by whipping that gun out and then cocking it, he's already got too much pressure on that trigger. And it fires. The moment he lets it go, the moment he pulls that thumb back, it fires. That's what I honestly believe happened to Alec Baldwin.
Harlan Rust. Harlan Russ. Harlan Russ.
Bam.